The team that executes takes a win. Play for makes breaks, one comes always score. If it hurts, game breaks, no get you, don't let up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, do the game, tap, this win it. First sheet again, we're here for the first mate. Can everybody keep that for 6 minutes?
We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. All right, they said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
I've said it from when I got here. The expectation, the standard is to play elite defense here, not just good defense. This is the home of Eric Berry, Al Wilson, Reggie White. The standard is to be elite.
The culture that hype and everyone has created in this building, it's been phenomenal on teams, and we're only going to continue to be better. And the standard around here, I've said it before, I'll say it again, standard is to be the damn best. And we're never stopping.
Do you remember when we fell in love? I remember, don't worry. Do you remember? I remember how it all began. How could I ever forget? It's the first time. Do you remember? I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air now. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's coming in the air now. We fell in love. You remember how could I ever forget? You remember we fell in love. You remember how could I ever forget? Coming in the air now.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I'm Coach Jay.
Man, it's Friday, Coach. It's Friday. It's go time. Something about these Friday morning streams hit different. And I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, all week I've been doom and gloom. I'm like, man, Tennessee's got to go play perfect. Friday comes, it's VAWLS by 50, man. It's like, I just think back to before I was lucky enough to do this full time. And I would be at work on Friday. It's like, I did nothing. There was no production on Friday morning. It was all Tennessee content, as much as I could consume. But how are you feeling on this Friday morning? Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? I know you're a little frazzled, a little scattered.
Yeah. I had 3 trains kind of impede my path this morning, made me a little bit later than I wanted to be. Don't got any dang notes up on the old dry erase board, but that's all right. We'll get those up and we certainly are already well prepared for tonight. So always feel good on a Friday. Got a little button up ready to go. One more sleep till Tennessee football, ready to run through a wall. It's Bama week, Buck Fama, and let's go get it, man.
See, you show up on Fridays looking professional. So when I had J.D. Piquel on yesterday, I had to throw the button up on. I had to look professional, look dialed in, look clean. We got Ben McKee in the house today, and I'm wearing a shirt that says I'm in a cult. So I don't know. We'll see what Ben thinks about that. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Dakota in the house. Says, good morning. beautiful ball family. What's up, my friend? Robert Tuck is here early. James Bauer says, good morning, Boogie and Jay. Let's go to Tuscaloosa and open up a can. David Kirkpatrick dropping those score predictions in the comments. Pit Boss is here. Joe Ball's in the house. Brad is here. Got a couple of super chats coming in early. Cast Iron volunteer for 2. Says, sorry, boss. Talkin VAWLS is live. Buck Fama GBO. Appreciate that, Cast Iron. Also got a $5 super chat from Nate Pruitt. Says, cover charge Boogie. Smash that thumbs up, Vols fam. I still don't give a damn about the whole state of Alabama. We're from Tennessee. Thank you, Nate, for the super chat. Got a couple from Donovan. Going to get Ben on here because they are directed at Ben. And if you guys drop your hard-earned money for Ben to answer a question, we're going to do that. Let's get him on in here now. What's up, Ben McKee? Welcome back to the Talkin VAWLS Network, brother.
Good morning, gentlemen. I hope y'all are doing well. Talking about attire, I'm over here rocking a hoodie, so I think you look perfectly fine.
Well, I got an App State hat on, too. That really pisses people off. That really pisses them off. But, hey, you don't have a Yankees hat on. I know you catch flack for that one, too.
Yeah, it's on the couch sitting with all the Braves fans right now, so it's retired for the winter.
Oh, we've started this show off terribly. We're going to get into it, talk about this Alabama game coming up tomorrow. But we got a couple of super chats directed your way, both from Donovan. For $5, he says, we all know Derek Barnett was a beast, but I think when James Pierce gets done, he will be better. Thoughts? You do great work, man. Keep it up.
Man, I appreciate that comment, Donovan. Hope you and yours are well and you have an awesome weekend. Oh, I don't appreciate you giving me a fastball up and in to start this, though. I don't want to say anybody's better than Derek Barnett right now. He is the all-time sacks leader at Tennessee for a reason. He was kind of a lone bright spot at Tennessee during that time. He did have a winning season. Don't want to discount that, but man, Derek Barnett is held in high regard, as everybody knows. So feels a little uncomfortable answering this question, if I'm being completely honest. But James Pierce Jr., no doubt about it, has the opportunity to have a career as productive as Derek Barnett. He is well on his way. I don't think there's any doubt that he is a 3-year player, and next year at Tennessee will be his last at Tennessee, unless he gets injured, God forbid, or something along those lines. So I do think when it's all said and done, he has the potential, and it's likely that he's right up there next to Derek Barnett. Maybe at minimum, maybe he does surpass him. I'm not willing to say that right now because I hold Derek Barnett in such high regard, but James Pierce Jr. is well on his way.
Yeah, Derek Barnett's sack record at 33. I'm with you, Ben. I think James Pierce is 3 and done unless something crazy happens. Single season sack record, Reggie White at 15, James Pierce at 6 halfway through. Donovan just wants to throw questions at Ben. I'm here for it, and then we're going to get into it, I promise. Thank you, Donovan, for another super chat. Says Joe Milton was on the Riley West show. He said 45 of A&M was talking, and Joe told him he was going to run him over, which he did. If contact gets him going, why not run more speed options? Go Vols. Let me piggyback on Donovan's comment because it's something I've said this week. Joe Milton pissed me off in the first half when the free play that he didn't take advantage of. But not only that, then he steps out of bounds. But then he comes back in the second half, and I'm like, that's the dude I want. I want that dude that's running angry, looking for contact. So just piggybacking on what Donovan said there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tennessee needs to utilize Joe's legs more this weekend against Alabama. There's no doubt about that. I thought that Joe's legs against Texas A&M really opened up things for the traditional running game with Jalen Wright and Jabari Small and Dylan Sampson. Just took pressure off of those guys. So it's something that with the passing game not clicking the way that you would like for it to, I think that's another element of the offense that can be utilized. And it's really fun to watch Joe lower his shoulder and run through a linebacker or a defensive back. I wouldn't put it past him to run through a defensive lineman at some point, just because he is that big of a physical specimen. But I would say, yes, I want to see Tennessee do more of that with Joe Milton, but I would add the caveat that if Joe is going to play with those emotions, make sure you snap and clear after that particular play. And I know that's a Butch Jones phrase and that triggers people. And then I get it for sure. But at least reset. That's how Josh Heupel likes to phrase it. You've got to be able to reset after every single play, whether it's a positive play, whether it's a negative play. And He ran through that defender, and on the next play, he sits there and throws into double coverage, throws an interception, a pass that everybody in the stadium could see that he did not need to make before he threw the football. And I think that was a result of him being too hyped up and not managing his emotions from the previous play. So I loved the previous play and the energy and the strength that he ran with. But if you're going to do that, you got to be able to reset after those plays and don't let that positive energy affect you in a negative way on the next play. And like you said, Boogie, be more aware when you're running. If you have a free play and you see the sticks, don't come up short. I mean, that's just a boneheaded mistake that cannot happen. And he's done that a couple of times throughout his career. So if you are going to run more, Joe, be more aware. And I think you need to do a better job of containing those emotions on any given play.
See, you said all that, and this is all I heard.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
Fair enough.
Don't worry about it. I was on with Kaner last week, and I was talking about Joe Milton. I was like, it's not just Joe; it's everybody in the throw game. And then I just stopped and I was like, Butch he said these little things that stick with you, and you keep repeating them. Let me hit a couple more here. Papa J for 5 says, Buck Fama, 10-9 Tennessee, just like the good old days. GBO, appreciate that, brother. Tyler White becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Tyler, for that support. You guys want to support what we're building around here, hit that join button down below. You can do it for $1. All kinds of fun perks and benefits, so I appreciate that, Tyler. Lazy Llamas drops a $20 super chat. That's Orange Boy. We got to play the clip. Even though Ben's here, we're going to play it anyway.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
The Lazy Llamas, $20, man. That ain't cheap. Appreciate that, brother. Says, morning, can't wait for kickoff. I rewatched the Virginia game last night, and outside of one bad series, Joe looked really good. Deep ball was good, accurate on slants, used his legs well. Is it just mental with him?
I think it's several different things, and it varies from play to play. I do think at times it is certainly mental with him. He admitted after the South Carolina game that they fooled him pre-snap on the interception that he threw. So that obviously goes back to the mentals, whether it be typical awareness, general awareness, or football IQ. That has been an issue at different times. And then also I think his fundamentals are poor at times as well. Throwing off the back foot, just completely airmailing throws. It's kind of something different almost every single time he does have a mess up. It's the same handful of things, but it's something different each time he does mess up. So he's got to get it turned around and get it going. I do think he was playing better against Virginia, Florida than fans want to give him credit for. But since that Florida game, I think his performances have started to go the opposite direction than you want it to go. I feel like the arrow is pointed down more than it's pointed up right now. And Joe is certainly capable of getting it turned around. And this is the week that they're going to need him to make some plays. He doesn't have to be Superman like Cam Newton or Johnny Manziel was against Alabama in their career, but he can't no-show. He has to be efficient, and he has to make plays when his number is called, because that's the only way you're going to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. The defense is playing great. The running game is great, but you have to have your quarterback be turnover-free and also make some plays, and for Joe's instance, with his arm or with his legs.
Lazy Llamas follows it up with another 5 and says, I truly believe Joe has it in him to have a great game. Come on, Joe. Pulling for you. Let's go, big freaking orange. First-time introduction, Coach J, Ben McKee, Coach J. He's my Friday wingman. And I was like, man, let's get Ben on and we'll just ride with it. So I had an icebreaker, and the chat has ran the first 15 minutes of the show, which I love. So I'm going to let Coach J jump in here, and he can take this thing.
Sure thing. First of all, go Yankees, pride of the Upper West Side. Never be ashamed of that, Ben. We got all the championships, and don't let anyone ever tell you different. But with that said, last week on the Talkin VAWLS pregame show, we really were kind of gravitating towards what we all kind of felt was a magic number in the rushing game for Tennessee to get a win in A&M. And I think we settled around like 175 or something like that. We ended up with 230. But if you had one kind of magic stat for this offense that you could bless them with in this game that would make you feel good about a win, what would that stat be for you, Ben?
It would be Joe Milton's stat line in general. I think 200 to 250 and no turnovers. I think Tennessee walks out of Tuscaloosa with a win, quite frankly, if Joe Milton is able to do that. Because if Joe is somewhere in that ballpark, that also means that the receivers stepped up and made some plays for him as well, which they need to do. It's the passing game as a whole that is struggling. Yes, I don't believe Joe has played well against Carolina or A&M. But the receivers at the end of the day, you got to go make a play for your quarterback too. And Ramel Keaton kind of down in the dumps right now. He's got to find a way to get going. Continue to feed Squirrel White. Dante Thornton Jr., if I'm being completely honest, I don't have high hopes for him just because he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he didn't practice in the spring, didn't practice in the fall. And when you don't practice, you don't get better. And I think that's
Amen.
what led to him not contributing the way that a lot of Tennessee fans thought that he would. So I think he's capable of making plays. I just don't have high expectations for him at this point. Chaz Nimrod, I thought he looked fine, good against A&M. Caleb Webb continues to draw praise from Josh Heupel. So those receivers need to step up and help Joe. But if the passing game is around that 200 to 250 mark, and Joe is turnover free, then I think Tennessee has a great chance of winning this football game. Now, that is also assuming that the running game runs the way it's been running, and that doesn't have to be for 233 like it was last week or whatever that number was. But if it can just establish the run and take some pressure off the passing game and off of Joe, then I think Tennessee's offense can do enough to win this game, because I'm also expecting Tennessee's defense to have a big day. I like that matchup for Tennessee when going up against Alabama's offensive line. I think that they're going to be able to rattle Jalen Milroe at times. And I like Tennessee's secondary matched up against Alabama's receivers. I didn't think I would ever say that during the 21 or 22 season, but credit to Willie Martinez. Those DBs have really developed. And Alabama's receivers are good. They're fine. Don't get me wrong. But they don't have the Alabama receiver that is taking over football games against Tennessee in the past. I would be surprised if Jermaine Burton or Kobe Prentice or any of those other guys took over the game the way we saw Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Julio Jones, the way they did when they played against Tennessee. So I say that Joe Milton and passing game stat and thinking that leads to success, with the assumption that they're able to also run the ball the way that they have been, and the defense continues to play the way that it is.
Yeah, agreed.
Listening to you talk, man, and it kind of sounds similar to the vibe on this channel all week. This is a good matchup for Tennessee. You look at the numbers, the statistics, everything tells you, man, if this game's in Neyland Stadium, I'm rolling with Tennessee. But it's not. It's in Tuscaloosa. The environment's going to be a big factor in this game. I know you do your homework. We're late in the week, so I know you've looked at this thing from every angle. What are your biggest concerns with what Alabama brings to the table on Saturday?
Their defense and just being able to rush the passer. The offense for Alabama is down this year, no doubt about that. That's been a popular conversation in Tuscaloosa and throughout the country. And because that conversation has become so loud, and it's not as loud as it was middle of September when they struggled against USF, Milroe has gotten better. And I think Alabama fans realize that Milroe is their best option over Tyler Buckner, Ty Simpson, and the big 4 or 5-star quarterback that they just brought in this past offseason. So I think the conversation is not as loud, but the conversation has overshadowed another good Alabama defense. And they are very capable of getting after the quarterback. Dallas Turner is very, very talented. He and James Pierce Jr. are the 2 best edge rushers in the SEC. And whether he lines up at left tackle against John Campbell, whether he lines up over the right tackle, that's going to be a big challenge for Tennessee. And I say that with I haven't studied enough to know how often they line up Dallas Turner where, quite honestly. But if I'm Alabama's coaching staff and I see that Gerald Mincey has been banged up the last 2 weeks, Jeremiah Crawford has been kind of banged up. You're relying on Dane Davis, who I did think when Gerald Mincey left the A&M game due to injury, I thought Dane Davis played some of his best football that he has played. So I'm circling that spot if I'm Alabama and trying to generate some matchups there with Dallas Turner. So that Alabama defense is really, really good. They're good up front. It's very similar to A&M's defensive line. I think both are equally talented, but it's distributed a little bit differently. I think A&M was stronger on the interior with some of their big beefy guys in the middle, whereas I think Alabama is stronger on the edge. So Tennessee's tackles are going to have a really good game. Their secondary is playing well. Kool-Aid McKinstry, he's probably a first-round pick at some point. Terrion Arnold, opposite of him, has been really, really solid as well. They have a 5-star freshman, Caleb Downs, who's been making some plays lately. He made a key interception in the A&M game for Alabama that I thought changed the momentum for them. So I'm looking at that Tennessee offense versus Alabama defense, and I just kind of keep going back to Joe, and he's got to be efficient on Saturday. Doesn't have to be Superman, like I said earlier, but he's got to be able to make some plays because you have to have good quarterback play to beat Alabama. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, agreed. And just kind of piggybacking on that real quick, Ben, maybe we can just kind of keep peeling that onion back a little bit. So I know Boogie's kind of been on record saying that, Milroe, he'd kind of take him in a pinch over Joe, and you got to have good quarterback play. And I agree with that. But do you see it all as possible that this game won't be decided by two bad quarterbacks at all, that it will be decided by the team with the best defense, perhaps?
Yeah, I think that is certainly a factor. Obviously, we as football fans, the easy thing to do is look at the quarterback, right? It's why quarterbacks receive more blame than they should, and it's why quarterbacks receive more praise than they should, because it's easy. And we who are not coaching or playing, I know you're over there coaching, but for us bums on the couch like myself, like we don't understand the intricacies of why this play is supposed to do this or why this play is supposed to do that. And it's easy to look to see whether Joe Milton completed a pass or not and how many yards he threw. And that doesn't necessarily always tell the story. So I do think that the quarterbacks going into this have gotten a large chunk of the conversation, and I've done that all week as well. I'll be the first to raise my hand that I've been talking about Joe all week and how he needs to have an efficient football game on Saturday. But it is overshadowing that these are two really good defenses that should be able to take advantage of a pair of quarterbacks that have a lot of question marks around them. Different question marks because Joe Milton has been playing college football forever and Jalen Milroe is younger. But they are certainly being overshadowed. The defenses are, and those defenses is why I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't know that it's going to be as low-scoring as the A&M game, which I felt convicted in that was going to be a low-scoring game, and I picked a 24-21 Tennessee win, and it was even more low-scoring than that, which has felt really odd in the Josh Heupel era. And I think this is another football game that probably ends up in the 20s for both teams. So I think two really, really good defenses are going to be on full display this weekend in Bryant-Denny and looking to take advantage of quarterbacks that absolutely have weaknesses in their game.
Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. The chat being very generous this morning. Billy Todd with $5 super chat says, got to clean up penalties tomorrow. Refs have been more inconsistent than You can't just say it without throwing a little jab at Joe. We said we're going to put up a dartboard with poor Joe's face on it back here, and every time somebody takes a shot, we're going to throw a dart. They have been inconsistent, but look, Alabama's heavily penalized as well, so it goes both ways. We'll see how Tennessee does cleaning up penalties tomorrow. What did I do? Let's see. Jordan Boyd for 2, going to have to bring out the lucky socks, and he drops that orange emoji. Man, give me just a second. I just accidentally removed a super chat. I want to go back up here and find it. MG Way drops a $5 super chat, says, Dorfy, still mad that you picked Alabama to win. I believe we can get the win, GBO. Hey, man, I always tell you guys, I'm going to be true to what I believe. We got some orange boys here. You guys are going to make me play the clip all day. It's orange. It's my favorite color. We'll play the clip again.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Donovan drops another 20 spot, says Austin and Brent said yesterday on the 2-minute drill, Mincy will try and go, but it's questionable. Man, that really worries me. Jalen Wright leading the nation in 10-plus runs with 26. I think he goes for 125 and a touchdown. I agree with that. That's something to watch. You know, the one game that Tennessee struggled to run the football was Florida, and who wasn't on that field? That was Gerald Mincy. I think that is a key factor. Dylan Elam also drops an orange boy. I'll play it all morning long.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Dylan says he heard from Dave Hooker. Oh, man, we started this rumor the other night. Somebody says, Boogie, how much do you value Dave Hooker as a source? I'm like, hey, what are you putting me on the spot for? Says that Nico's been splitting first-team reps with Joe. Ben, does that hold weight with what you've seen in practice, or could Heupel roll out Nico in Tuscaloosa with no film on him to exploit? Do you want to go ahead and end the rumors right now, Ben?
Well, we do not get to see practice, so I unfortunately cannot say what I have seen in practice. I wish they would let us see practice. It would be very, very insightful. But college coaches, they are paranoid as paranoid gets, and we do not see any practice after like the third week of fall camp, and even during fall camp. I mean, we get to see stretching and jogging and routes versus air, and they don't even let us film on video routes versus air when they're working on red zone throws. They don't let us film sometimes the quarterback handing off to the running back. Access is very, very limited in that regard. But I have not heard that Nico has been splitting first team reps personally. Not saying that Dave is wrong. I just have not heard that. It wouldn't be surprising though if he has been, because Joe has been banged up, especially coming off of that awkward hit he took against UTSA. So I would imagine they've been limiting his reps in practice. Maybe not as much lately because we're almost a month removed from that awkward hit. But I imagine Nico was receiving several first-team reps there after that awkward hit as they prepared for Carolina and during the bye week. But Nico's not playing on Saturday unless Joe gets hurt or Joe throws 3 first-half interceptions. I don't see Nico playing on Saturday unless something tragic happens to Joe, either performance-wise or injury-wise.
Let me hit a couple more here. Charles Nelson for 10. A pick 6 would be huge in this game. Special teams going to be a game changer. Yeah, that's something I wanted to get into. Maybe me and Coach J will get into it on the back half of the show, what the rest of this season looks like with this current formula. I asked JD that yesterday. I think it's an interesting topic. Thank you, Charles, for the super chat. So maybe we'll dive into that. Neil drops a $20 super chat. That's another orange boy. One more time, we'll play the clip.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Appreciate that, Neil. Very generous, man. $20 is not cheap. When you guys come in and drop a $20 super chat, that is very much appreciated and very kind and generous. Says, other than James Pierce, who on defense are y'all looking for to make plays against the Alabama offense?
I think it's got to be all those guys up front, along with James Pierce. Tyler Barron, Bryson Eason, those two specifically are playing the best football of their career. Tyler Barron's about to be a draft pick in April. I believe Bryson Eason has a COVID year, so he could return possibly, and that would be a huge, huge boost for Tennessee's defensive front, because Bryson Eason has been terrific this season, especially of late. A lot of people talking about D. Williams downing that punt at the 1-yard line and then turning around after the defense forced a 3-and-out and returning that punt for a touchdown, and rightfully so. That was a game-changing 2 plays, but in between those 2 plays, when A&M was backed up on the goal line at the 1-2-yard line, Bryson Eason on first down and second down blew up the run play and forced A&M to go 3-and-out and set up that D. Williams punt return for a touchdown. So they need those guys to continue to play their best football. Bryson Eason, Tyler Barron, Amari Thomas is playing really, really well. You're seeing more and more from Elijah Simmons in terms of snaps after he missed the first month of the season due to an injury. Karat Garland, Tyree West, when those guys get in there. Roman Harrison, I don't think gets the credit he deserves because he's not James Pierce Jr. and he doesn't necessarily have the sacks along his stat line. But he just continues to be steady Eddie and really solid. And in this football game, I think Roman Harrison will be really, really key because in trying to bottle up Jalen Milroe, they need to set contain, they need to set the edge. And I think Tennessee is in a good place with having a veteran out there to just be in the right spot and not necessarily have to make the play because I do think what James Pierce has and Josh Josephs has that Roman doesn't is athleticism to bring down Jalen Milroe. And I don't want to say that Roman Harrison's not capable of it, but I think just Roman simply being in the right spot, funneling Jalen back to the middle of the field to allow Tennessee's defense to rally to the ball and gang tackle. I think that's going to be as key as anything, as key as James Pierce coming off the edge. So that defensive front, there's so many guys playing great football up front defensively right now that they need all those guys to play well to beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa. And we could talk about a lot of guys on defense, Boogie. I think you got to look at the young linebackers as well. I trust Aaron Beasley, right? Everybody does, but I would imagine Tommy Reese, Alabama's OC, and Nick Saban, they've been circling those young linebackers that are playing next to Aaron Beasley as well. Elijah Herring, Arion Carter, Jeremiah T-Laner's playing more and more each week. Those young backers, speaking of being in the right place, they need to trust their eyes, trust the keys that they've studied in preparation, and just simply being in the right spot will be critical as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just tagging kind of on the defense real quick, Ben. How much of the D line's play do you think attributes to the secondary looking better and better? Do you think they've really truly taken a step, or do you think they're just kind of riding on the shoulders of what the D line's been able to accomplish so far this year?
I do think it goes hand in hand. There's no doubt about that. The secondary is succeeding because the defensive front is getting after the quarterback that you don't have to cover as long. It's simple math. But I also think the defensive line is also benefiting from the secondary holding up in coverage. And on the rare instances in which they're not immediately getting into the backfield, I think the secondary is holding up long enough to allow those guys to get to the quarterback or flush them out of the pocket or rush them into a bad decision. So I do obviously think it goes hand in hand. That's what makes great defenses great, playing complementary football, and they are certainly doing that. But just strictly speaking about the secondary, I do think that they have gotten better. Maybe not leaps and bounds, because the defensive front is playing at an elite level. They are one of the best defensive fronts in football. There's no doubt about that. So maybe it's not as much as it seems, but there's no question that they have gotten better. Kamal Hadden, he's turned himself into an NFL player. I mean, he's going to play many years in the league as long as he can continue to harness those emotions that propel him to success. They can also be his downfall at times, as we've seen the last couple of years. As long as he can harness that, he has great length, great athleticism. I think he's a future NFL corner. I don't think that I was ever going to say that, but here I am. But he's gotten so much better. I think Gabe Jeudy-Lally is really, really solid opposite of him. Not an all-SEC conference type of player, but just a real steady Eddie that's always in the right spot, doing what he needs to do and taking advantage of opportunities that are thrown his way. Wesley Walker's been very, very impressive, especially tackling in the open field and in open space. And Jalen McCullough, he hasn't been as much of a conversation this season. So that tells you that he's playing well as well. I do think that, yes, that they are benefiting from what the guys up front are doing, but they also have developed and gotten better over this last offseason.
I want to get your final score predictions, but Donovan, man, I owe you a steak dinner, Ben, on Donovan's dime, because he's just dropping super chats left and right to ask you specific questions. I want to get your final score prediction. You can comment on this, talking about the basketball team, excited about Dalton. Is it necked? Look, I don't like basketball at all, which is comical. I'm the upward basketball director at my church, but I don't like basketball. But hey, that's not always about basketball. It's about something way bigger than basketball. But anyway, Jordan Gainey will help scoring, plus Santi, Josiah back, Elite 8 at worst. SEC is in trouble. Give us your quick thoughts on the basketball team, and then we'll get your final prediction on the Tennessee-Alabama game.
I believe it's Dalton Connect, like
Okay.
Connect 4. So that's what I've been saying at least. It is basketball season. They travel to Michigan State next Sunday for a charity exhibition that will benefit the Maui Wildfires, because both of those teams are going to go play in the Maui Invitational during Thanksgiving break. So it is basketball season. Tennessee was picked this week to win the SEC, and I think they're loaded. I think they are absolutely a team that is capable of making it to the Final Four. I wouldn't call them a national championship front runner, but I think they're a contender, if that makes sense. They are absolutely deserving of their preseason recognition. That they have a ton of veterans. They have a nice influx of young athletic talent. They're still going to play great defense. And the biggest difference for those who have not been keeping up is they're still going to play that great defense that Rick Barnes is known for, but the offense is going to look more like modern day college basketball. And they're going to be able to shoot the ball much better than they have in recent years. They're more athletic, they're more dynamic, they're more versatile, which I think is the important part. They're going to be able to do a lot of different things offensively. And I think they have great leadership. I think they have great team chemistry going into the season because they went to Italy for a week in August. It should be a really, really good basketball season. It certainly will be in the regular season, as it always is under Rick, and it'll come down to what they do in the postseason. But if they can stay healthy, get Zakai Ziegler back without any hiccups, which I think that they will here soon, then they absolutely have the ability to go be the first Tennessee basketball team to make the Final Four and maybe do a little bit more than that.
Well, if you want basketball coverage, you can go check out what Ben's doing. The links for all of his stuff is in the description. You can follow him on Twitter. You can go see what's going on over at GoBalls 247. Also, check out his YouTube channel. Everybody complains about the media not being able to hear the media's question in these press conferences. You can hear the media. Ben's got it figured out. He's got the secret. He's not letting anybody else have it. So go sub him up on YouTube as well. One of these days, Ben, you're going to start doing content on YouTube, and you're going to blow up, man. You're going to blow up. You're going to take over. You can stop being a media member, and you can become one of us ugly, disgusting content creators. But we're going to get you out the door. We got you working a little overtime here. Just how do you see this game going on Saturday, and what's your final score prediction?
Boogie, come on now. There's no such thing as working overtime in this profession, especially on the week that Tennessee and Alabama is playing. Third Saturday in October, it's college football at its best. It's SEC football at its best. And for Tennessee fans specifically, this game means a whole lot to a whole lot of people. And I think for a lot of those people, Alabama is the biggest rival. I graduated high school in Alabama, went to community college there, met my wife in high school in Alabama. So I have a lot of Alabama friends. And believe it or not, a good chunk of them, more than you would think, hate Tennessee more than they hate Auburn. And Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl is one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports. So there is no such thing as working overtime when you get to talk about this football game year in and year out. But I haven't settled on an exact score prediction as of 10 o'clock on this Friday morning. That's actually what I'm about to do as soon as I get off this video for our GoVols 24/7 picks. But I do think Alabama wins a close one. Unfortunately, I agree with you, Boogie. I do think Alabama wins this one. I think it'll be, I said earlier, I think it'll be a low-scoring football game, somewhere in the 20s. I think Alabama wins by that 5 to 7 point range. So maybe like a 28-24 or 27-20, something along those lines. Maybe a late game Alabama field goal to put it away or something along those lines. But I think Alabama squeaks out a win. And Tennessee is certainly capable of winning this football game. There's no doubt about that. And I think that should get Tennessee fans very excited, because how long did Tennessee go into this football game with having zero chance of winning? And you wondered if Tennessee was even going to be able to score. I remember one year under Dooley, Tennessee was up like 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. And everybody was like, all right, take a screenshot of that, take a picture of that and frame it. So I do think Alabama squeaks out a win, frankly, because I don't trust Joe Milton right now. But Tennessee, because of the way it's running the football, with the way its defense is playing, it certainly has a great opportunity to go down there and pick up another program-defining win under Josh Heupel.
Trey drops a super chat before we let Ben get out of here for $9. Is that a sign? Who drops a $9 super chat? Is that a sign that Ramel Keaton is going to make the game-winning play in Tuscaloosa? That's the way I read it. He says, Dorothy, thank you guys for the content this morning. Next time, let's get Swain event, Talkin VAWLS, full panel crossover, go Vols. Hey, Swain has an open invite. But when I build a relationship with somebody and they come on and we have rapport, I don't go to that person and say, hey, can you get your buddy to come on? We're going to keep doing what we do, but we'll put it out there. Swain has an open invite to come on anytime he wants to come on. But, Ben, I love having you on, man. I told Coach right before we went live, I said, Ben, he'll run the show. We'll just sit back and listen. I always enjoy getting your opinions, man. You always do your homework. I tell you all the time, you and Kane are both, man. You guys are young upcomers that I've kind of seen. I'm an old fogey. I've kind of seen you guys come up through the ranks, and it's a beautiful thing, man. I always love having you on the show, buddy.
Well, I only run the show because I blabber too long, and I like to talk too much. But I always appreciate you. We will have to get Swain on here. And if I were you, I'd rather talk to Swain than me. So I don't blame the fans wanting that. And we can get Swain in here. He's a character. Those who listen to Swain and everything that he's got going on, they know that. So that would be a fun episode. And we'll have to bookmark this for next year because Swain – went to school in Alabama, high school from Huntsville as well. He has some stories about a guidance counselor who was an Alabama fan trying to lie about his ACT. He gets real fired up when it comes to Alabama in Alabama week. So it would have been a good morning to have him on. Maybe need to rate this thing PG-13 or rated R prior to on the Friday before Alabama. But we'll have to bookmark this and get him on before next Alabama. But next season, certainly have him on that Friday.
The chat never forgets. So you guys go ahead and mark it down, write it down, take a picture. You know the rest of the phrase. We'll do it next year. Ben, it's always a good time, brother. Have a good rest of your day and go Vols.
Yep.
Yes, appreciate you always having me on, Boogie. Nice to meet you, Coach Jay, and hope y'all have a great weekend.
Later, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Guys, make sure you go check out what Ben's got going on over at Go Vols 247. Always, man, a fun conversation. Ben's the man. I knew. Anytime he comes on, it's like, well, I don't need to put any notes together because he's just going to take it and run with it. Let me catch you up on some Super Chats real quick. Let's see. Rolly Season, been a member for 12 months. That's 1 year of support. We appreciate that, brother. What's up? What's up, guys? Good to hear a year. Good to be here. Why can I not read? It's a Friday morning. Good to be here a year now. Go Big Orange. Watch Dave Hooker, and he has been saying that since week 2. True or not, I don't think it holds much weight. Joe is the man. Yeah. Joe's QB1. Like, they're not going to bench Joe Milton. Hopefully we get to see Nico.
Yeah, you're going to give quarterback number 2 a certain amount of reps with the first team, always, no matter what, on every team I've ever been a part of. So, and then even just what Ben said. When Joe's banged up, you don't know what that week's going to look like, how the knee's going to respond. So I'm sure maybe that's playing into it some too. Jordan Boyd for $2 says, Boogie, how does Tennessee win tomorrow? Defense. I think it's gonna. I think Tennessee's gonna play good defense. I think they're gonna run the football efficiently. Are they gonna go out and win by just playing good defense and win by just running the football? The reason my prediction is where it's at is I don't think they are. I think it is going to come down to Joe Milton is going to have to make a play. Now, again, can they win that way? Yes, they can go run the football, play defense, and get out of there with a win. Is that how I see it? Is that how I feel it's going to go? No. So I think it's going to come down to Joe making a play. And he's not proven to me that he's going to make that play. And I hope he goes down there and throws for 350 and 4 touchdowns, and everybody's saying, Boogie, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'll say, pile it on. I don't care. Now, can he go do it against Kentucky? Can he go do it against Missouri? Can he do it when Georgia comes to town? That's going to be the conversation. Real Hank for 10. What if we get Madden Iamaliava right, class of 25? He'll be here for the 26th season. So what if Nico sits this year, red shirts, plays 23, 24, 25, and uses that red shirt to play 1 year with his brother? I don't think Nico has any plans of staying here 4 years. No, absolutely not. I think he plans on winning a Heisman Trophy, national championship, and going to the NFL. So.
Which it was interesting to hear AP talking about Madden because, you and I had the conversation back when we were doing the live film breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
It's all George McIntyre. It's all Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight goes to Notre Dame. Now all of a sudden you're starting to hear Madden's name again. That's why recruiting, man, it's such a difficult thing. Right, you got these two guys in George McIntyre and Deuce Knight, and I'm trying to recruit these guys, but I still got to make sure Madden knows, hey, we still want you here. And then in the meantime, Big Brother's on campus. The family's, obviously a big part of this program. Interesting dynamic for coaches in recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's see here. We got Tyler Harrison for $5. Appreciate that, brother. I have a feeling Tennessee is going to win by stopping Alabama's run and getting to their quarterback, and Alabama not stopping Tennessee's run game. Go Vols. # beat Bama. Dylan for $5 says, Coach Jay, where'd you get that jacket?
I don't know. My buddy, really big USC Trojan guy, got it for me as a gift. So I am not positive where he procured it from.
Talking fashion.
Talking fashion.
Always. Somebody in the chat. That's Adam. Adam, when did you change your name? I recognize that face. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Taking all next week off to either celebrate or cry. Well, that's what the post game show's for, right? We either celebrate and smoke cigars, or we cry, make excuses, and yell at each other. That's typically what happens after a loss. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Chase Simmons for $2. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. Lazy Llama's been a member for 10 months. Had a dream nightmare last night. Played the entire game in my mind. Vols scored a game-winning touchdown at the end that was called back for a terrible block in the back penalty. Full-on battered Vols syndrome on display. Man, last night, our high school lost a heartbreaker. Had the ball with like 3 minutes left to go. Chance to go score, win, tied 14-14. They fumble. Other team just runs it 3 times, kicks a field goal to win. But even more heartbreaking was right before the half, man. Tie ball game, 7-7. Other teams driving to score. Pick 6 from the end zone. And just one of those blocks in the back that had no impact on the play. It was actually a blindside block, which makes me even more irate. I cannot stand those ticky-tack penalties. And it's like, man, just a heartbreaker. Had a chance to really do something last night. And I told you, same situation that you're going through. Starting quarterback out hurt, backup comes in, and you're still fighting and clawing and competing.
Yeah.
But anyway, completely sidetracked there. Real Hank for $2. You think Nico doesn't want a college – what? You think Nico doesn't want a college –
experience?
Oh, experience with his brother.
I get.
He follows it up saying the NFL
think,
will always be there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if Nico's at Tennessee to go there for the full 4 year. And I'm not saying a degree. Nico's very, very smart. I fully expect him to graduate and have great grades and all that good stuff. But I do think Nico is a very serious young man who wants to make it to the NFL. I think he's worried about his craft and his end goal, and affecting that, and ultimately taking care of his young new child as well.
Got a couple more here. See John's for $20. That's the Orange Boy. We'll keep playing the dang clip. I love you guys.
Rocky Top! You'll always be.
See John says, I know Heupel goes with guys he trusts, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't starting to lose trust in him each game. Could we see Laycock get some time over him soon? Wait. I said I wasn't starting to lose trust in him. Are you just saying in Heupel? Could we see Laycock get some time over him soon or split reps with him? He's the better athlete, to be honest. Are they talking about Keaton?
I hope so. I don't. He'll have to answer if he's talking about Heupel, but I hope he's not losing trust in Heupel. I don't think personally that's warranted, but that's why we're here, is to talk about our opinions and flesh them out.
That's what it sounds like to me is Heupel goes with the guys he trusts, but he's starting to lose trust in Heupel. And then he says, could we see Laycock get some time over him? I'm assuming Keaton, because that's who else have you lost? I mean, obviously Dante Thornton, but I think if you're looking for Laycock, it's got to be Ramel Keaton. What is the deal with Ramel Keaton? Like, is it just a confidence thing? Like, he made so many big plays. Like, the guy that made that diving catch against Florida a year ago is gone. Like, he can't make routine catches. He's not creating separation. He gave up on a route last Saturday.
One of the questions I have here that I was going to bring up to Ben and try to get into his opinion, and maybe all in the chat could kind of say what you guys think about this. But Ramel Keaton, Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, these were all kind of proven commodities last year to a certain extent, right? And I wanted to get his opinion on how much does he think there is a correlation between Joe's bad, inconsistent, whatever you want to call his play, and the receiver's struggles? Because I certainly think that there's a deep correlation there, but maybe each of you can kind of ask yourselves that and give your opinion on it, because I certainly think that there's a correlation that this offense needs to work in synergy with a lot of good pace and rhythm in order to work. And I think that's been disrupted, and it's part of the problem. I don't want to completely shoulder the responsibility off the receivers, because it's their dang job and there's no excuse for not doing your job ever.
And C. Johns does confirm he was talking about Keaton. That goes both ways though too, right? Like
Yes.
Joe throws a bad throw, and then you come back a couple plays later and he hits a guy right in the hands and they drop it. Now Joe's frustrated. It's like pitching. I played baseball all growing up, and it's like when you're on the mound and you're dialed in and you're dealing, the game's easy. Everything, all the noise is gone. You can't hear anybody. All you see is that catcher's mitt. But then on the flip side, when you're out there and your guys in the field are making errors left and right, and it's like you lose your game. And then on the opposite side of that, if I'm out there on the mound and I'm walking guy after guy after guy, the defense is like, what are you doing, man? Like, it takes everybody being in synergy, and it's another level, man. Another level. I agree. I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point. Rocky Top Tom, member for 10 months. Badges. We don't need no stinking badges. Balls by 50. What is Tom talking about? Why do I never know what anybody's talking about on this channel? You must be right, Tom. We don't need no stinking badges. I love Tom, but I have no idea what he's talking about right there. Chase Simmons for 2. Guys, do we get Orange Bowl Joe tomorrow? GBO. Chase, I think we've been asking that all year long. All year long we've been asking, where is Orange Bowl Joe? Jordan for another 2. Next year in person watch party at Boogie's. Not happening. No, sir. Not happening. But, yeah, just not happening. We'll just stick it with that. Rolly season for 2. Coach Jay, did you say Nico is a daddy?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know that that's really out there in the public eye. I've not heard anybody ever say that before.
Yeah, I don't know if it is. Maybe I should shut up.
I'm going to have to private the stream immediately after it's over. John Cobb becomes a member of the channel. Hey, I appreciate that, guys. You want to support this channel. The best way you can do it. The super chats are great, and I appreciate them. You can also hit that join button down below. $1. $1 is all you got to give. You want to give more, you get access to the fan call-in shows that we do every Sunday at 7 o'clock. We start out at the Talkin VAWLS Elite level. You want to be on those shows, come hang out, come talk ball. Hit that join button down below. We would appreciate it. Neil K for 5. This game, Coach Hype has got to turn Joe loose. And Joe has to show that when he is let loose, he can handle it and make plays. I agree with all of that. Ronald Mickle for 20. That's an Orange Boy. We'll do it.
Rocky Top! You'll always be.
Ronald says, if Joe runs mad, we will be okay and complete 2 shots down the field. Man, you're going to have some opportunities. You're going to have some opportunities down the field. You got to connect on them. Thank you, Ronald, for the super chat. $20 is very generous, my man. I appreciate that. Coach, we're 52 minutes in. You got to go right at the hour, don't you?
I mean, I can stay a couple minutes after.
The Lazy Llamas gifted 5 Talkin VAWLS memberships. 5 of them. That is not cheap. That is very generous. We appreciate that, Lazy Llamas. Let's see who's lurking and gets them. Cody Pope gets a membership. Drunken Vol gets a membership. Cody McElroy, David Collins, and Mark Williams all get free memberships courtesy of the Lazy Llamas. Appreciate that, my man. That's very generous. That's a way to rally these troops. I wanted to talk about something interesting. Man, I don't know if we have time, but I want to do it anyway. Rushing yards in a career. When you think all-time great Tennessee running backs, like who are the first names that pop into your mind?
All-time great? I mean, Travis Henry, James Littleman Stewart kind of comes to my head. And then, of course, number one for me anyway, and I think a lot of people, Jamal Lewis. And then, of course, more recently, gosh, now his name just instantly poofed out of my head. Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good list. That's a good list.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you go look at the all-time leaders in rushing yards at Tennessee, the first name out of your mouth, Travis Henry, right up there at the top. James Littleman Stewart. Man, I can remember being a 10-year-old kid watching James Littleman Stewart diving over the top, man. The big shoulder pads, the belly jersey, I love me some James Stewart. You mentioned Jamal Lewis. You rattled off 3 of the top 5 all-time leading rushers. What if I said Jabari Small?
I mean, he's good. I don't know if I put him on that elite, high level air that I do those other guys.
Jabari Small has 2,002 career rushing yards at Tennessee. That's 1,076 away from the all-time leading rusher Travis Henry. He had 792 yards in 2021, 734 yards in 2022. Halfway through this year, he's at 359. So he's trending towards another 700 or so yard season. He comes back next year. All he needs is another 700-yard season, and he's going to be the all-time leading rusher. The reason I bring that up, because we talk about COVID years and who can come back and who can't come back. Jalen Wright, likely off to the NFL, right? Jabari Small's got a COVID year. Is he going to come back and break the all-time rushing record at Tennessee? So when you rattle off Travis Henry, James Stewart, Jamal Lewis, Jabari Small is going to be at the top. And you keep in mind, COVID year, extra year. That's a whole extra year stats, little asterisk going beside it. I just thought that was interesting. Hubs brought that up on VolQuest, and I was like, that is very intriguing to me. Sorry, completely stopped.
No, I see a couple other people in the chat with Cobb, Arian Foster. I always, for me, and maybe it was just a personal thing, Arian kind of always left a little something to be desired. I don't know.
Like the ball in his hands at the end of the play after he was tackled.
Yeah, maybe that was it. It was just something, right? Like like the steak tasted good, but it was only like a 3-ounce fillet or something. You know what I mean? Like I need a couple more ounces on my steak to fully enjoy that one, maybe.
Nelson, he had an extra year to do it. I know it's just funny to me that when it's all said and done, could end up having Jabari Small. Let's talk a little bit about injuries. Some of the people in the chat were asking, Omar Norman Lott expected to be back. How about the performance against Texas A&M, and they did it without Omar Norman Lott? How much better can this defense be if he's back and 100% ready to go against Alabama?
A lot better. Lott brings. I talked about after the South Carolina game. Elite inside presence, defensive hands, quickness, good footwork, low center of gravity. He changes the speed in our cheetah package, in our fast package on the defensive line. He brings up, you have Barron and Lott on the inside, and then you bookend it with the defense ends that we have, of course, Pierce, right? It's a problem. It's a really, really big problem. And you've got to think Nick Saban has circled number 27, right? In every single film room conversation that Alabama has had. Number 27's had a giant highlight, arrow pointed at him saying "big dog status, woof woof." When he
shout out Boo Carter.
Yeah, shout out Boo Carter when he is on the field, and as such, he's going to be bringing help, whether that be a running back to chip James Pierce or a tight end to assist in blocking James Pierce. Nick Saban's going to get him help. And as we all know with football, when you take something away, you open up another door. And that other door can be people like Lott and Tyler Barron. So they're going to need to show up when they have favorable matchups on the defensive line, because rest assured Nick Saban is going to try to throw everything in the kitchen sink at James Pierce when he can.
I thought something interesting listening to Nick Saban talk about, protecting the quarterback. And again, I go back to right after the rewatch, and you telling me, Boogie, watch that tackle. He struggles. And then I start looking into it and find out that he's a freshman. And he's going to be a special player. The kid's a 5-star. He's going to be good. But one of the things Nick Saban talked about was understanding your assignment. He's like, sometimes he doesn't realize I've got help on the inside. I need to focus on the outside and not get whipped. And how many times do you see James Pierce, man, the way he gets almost sideways coming around that edge. And if your offensive tackle doesn't understand, I've got help on the inside, whether that be a running back, a guard, whoever it may be. So that James Pierce is going to be a nightmare for him, but it's just across the board. This defensive line, something special. Having Omar Norman-Lott is going to be good. Danico Slaughter and Dante Thornton were two guys that VolQuest mentioned this morning that are another week healthier. Dante Thornton, when it's a hamstring, it can nag on forever. So we'll see. He played last week. Danico Slaughter plays special teams again. Is that the only thing he played last week?
Yep.
So he's been playing special teams for how many weeks now?
A couple since South Carolina at least. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So he's healthy enough to play special teams. Gotcha. That's all I need to know. Gerald Mincey, not 100%, expected to go. I mentioned that earlier. How big of a factor is Gerald Mincey going to be in the running game? And then we can piggyback this with also Andres Carrick, not back to full strength. Ollie Lane getting his third straight start. Ollie Lane. Look, Andres Carrick may not be all SEC, but how many times did we see him get hit for holding or pre-snap penalties? Very few. Ollie Lane, a lot. So you got Ollie Lane starting at guard, and we'll see if Gerald Mincey plays.
Yeah, Ollie Lane's he's got to step up if he plays. We talk about Joe needing to step up and have a great game, but Ollie Lane needs to step up and have a great game too. And Mays has been so much better and such a breath of fresh air for this offensive line. He also needs to have a big game, and I'm not picking on him. He's been great, but even the great ones need to step up if you're going to go into a place like Bryant-Denny and come out with a win on Saturday.
One last thing I want to wrap the show on is this. We got 300 people watching live. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Help us out. Smash the thumbs up. Even though we're an hour into it, hit share. Let people know we're live. If you didn't watch the interview with J.D. Piquel yesterday, go back and watch that video. Really good stuff. I know it got posted late in the day. It was because of J.D.'s schedule. That was the only time he could get in the studio and we could get it ironed out. Man, what a great dude. Like, just a good dude. Like, talking to him off air, interchanging messages. He is a good dude. Go support what JD's doing. Go back and check out that interview. It was a lot of fun. Chase, yes, Thornton has been dealing with a hamstring injury going all the way back to fall camp. But one of the questions I asked him is if Joe Milton can't put it together and you keep leaning on your defense and you keep leaning on your run game, what does the back half of this season look like, including the Alabama game? And I saw this article over on VolQuest, and it's a free article, so I can share it. I love free articles that aren't behind a paywall because then I can share them. Vol Frankie becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, brother. I saw he was saying in the chat earlier, my first live stream in forever, my power tee's gone. It is back. Welcome back to the family, Vol Frankie. Appreciate the support, brother. Let's talk about it. Updating Tennessee's ranking in ESPN's Football Power Index. What's left for the Vols? We're going to go through it and take a look at the ESPN FPI for each game remaining. But you know the schedule. You know who Tennessee's got left. You know they got Kentucky on the road, Bama on the road, Missouri on the road, Georgia coming to town. How do you think this season shakes out the way they're playing right now? If Joe Milton he's thrown 3 interceptions in the last 2 weeks, and he threw for 100 yards last week.
Yeah, no, I still think this schedule shakes out at 9-3. I really do. I thought it was the right pick before the year started, and I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. But listen, Vol fans, we have our hands full if Joe continues to play like he's playing, right? Bama is going to be, winnable, but we need Joe to play better. We need him to step out of himself. I believe we can win the Kentucky game and even the Missouri game, on the shoulders of our run game and our defense. UConn is UConn, obviously, but Georgia, Bama, these are games you need Joe to step outside of himself for a game if we are going to take one of those games and step out and do something special.
You look at the ESPN FPI, and I know it's not everything. It's not everything, but it's pretty dang accurate. And you can see there on the screen, you got Alabama tomorrow, of course, 23% chance. You think Tennessee has a higher percentage? I think it's way higher than that. I think it's higher than 23% chance. And I've said all week, and I'll continue to say it, if this game's in Neyland Stadium, I'm picking Tennessee to win. I like the matchup too much. It's just the environment.
Yeah, on neutral field, I would almost say this is a 50-50 game.
Yeah,
I really would. On a neutral field, 50-50 game. If this were a bowl game taking place, I don't know, anywhere, I would go ahead and say it's a 50-50 game, no doubt.
I mean, Tennessee's got a 13-game home winning streak now, And then when you look at the fact that they're going on the road, how they've struggled, the loss to Florida, go back last year, South Carolina, Georgia. Tennessee's lost 27 straight road games versus top 15 teams. 27 freaking straight. That's a factor. And I know a lot of times when people throw numbers like that at me, I say, well, I don't care what happened prior to Josh Heupel. Like, what happened prior to Josh Heupel is completely irrelevant. It means absolutely nothing. But at the same time, it's been a long time since Tennessee beat a top 15 team on the road, but even recently. But you got a 23.6% chance to beat Alabama. Kentucky, that's a game, myself included, had circled. This is a game that's a toss-up on the road. But the later you get into a season, the more you kind of start to learn who these teams really are. And somehow Kentucky, every year they sell themselves as something special, and then they completely fall off by the time you get to the end of the season. 70% chance to win that game for Tennessee. Surprised or just pretty accurate, probably?
No. It's very possible that Nico's child's name is Kentucky. And that's what I meant by Nico.
Oh, yeah. That is what
daddy.
you meant.
There
Yes.
you go. Yeah. That is Nico's child, is a little cute baby Kentucky running around, and when he's bad, Nico will spank him. 70.2 sounds about right. I think they announced that's it looks like a night game, right? So
Yep, 7 o'clock.
I'm still underwhelmed, and if the Vols are focused and on their P's and Q's, I just don't see Kentucky being able to run the ball well enough to beat us. And that's what they're going to have to do, right? They're struggling throwing the football. They're struggling with protection. I just don't see them being able to beat Tennessee unless, they catch us slipping somehow.
That's what I love about this Tennessee football team. If you can't run the football against them, you're going to have a hard time. And I like the way Tennessee stops the run. On the flip side of that, if you've got a quarterback that can put the team on his back, and I don't even think that Milroe can do that. I don't think he can do that, but I think Milroe makes enough plays. That's the difference maker. Let's roll down. Connecticut homecoming. It is what it is. Where's Boogie? Come find me. You got a 97.8% chance of Tennessee winning. What that tells me is you got a 2.2% chance. If it's 60% chance of rain, but it's on a Saturday, then you got a 33.333% chance of finding Boogie at Neyland Stadium. Come find me. Where's Boogie? At number 27, Missouri. 61% chance. Does that game maybe scare you a little bit more than Kentucky did going into the season?
It does. It does. I think it's a slippery spot. It's going to be hard not for those players to know that Georgia's on the horizon, right? We always talk that you got to take it one day at a time, and you can throw any amount of coach speak you want in it. And I'm not saying that Missouri won't have their attention. Hey, look, the Vols are going to know Missouri's a better team, much improved, and a good team that they need to take seriously. But it's just hard sometimes to not see a team like Georgia in the horizon, especially if they continue to be undefeated moving forward. We'll see how that goes for them. But if they kind of still have all the allure that Georgia has around them right now, it worries me that they could get caught looking ahead a little bit, looking on to bigger things. So really a sneaky, tough game at Mizzou that the Vols are going to have to bring their lunchbox to.
That game really becomes a trap game if Tennessee finds a way to beat Alabama tomorrow.
Yeah, very much so.
Very
much so.
Everybody's going to be thinking about that Georgia game. Everybody's going to be – man, and I swear – gosh, I just think if Tennessee finds a way to win tomorrow, I don't care if it's 6-3. I don't care how ugly it is. Go find a way to win.
Yeah,
Georgia
absolutely.
coming to Tennessee, coming to Neyland Stadium. The SEC East more than likely is going to be on the line.
Yeah.
That's going to top any environment we've seen since Heupel's been here. I don't think it's even going to be close.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a big game. But you do forget, as far as Missouri goes, Boogie, that's not the trap game. UTSA was the trap game, so we're safe. We already got past it.
That's right.
No worries.
Yeah, but they're not any good, though. Wait, are they good or not? Because I can't remember. It's kind of
don't
like
think
Texas A&M. I've heard Texas A&M's had the best defense in the country, and now they're not very good. I never can keep it straight because I don't know what people are feeding me and what's true and what's not. I guess it depends on when it comes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
but
man.
no, Georgia is going to be a huge game. I understand it's a tough ticket to get right now. It's going to cost you a couple bucks to get in the door, so I expect the Vol faithful that have ponied up for that game to be quite ruckus and alive, no matter what the situation is at that point.
This is interesting. I just noticed this. Georgia Tennessee has 34.6% chance. You roll back up to Alabama, 23.6. They're giving you more of a chance to beat Georgia. That shows you how much they are factoring in home field advantage. It matters. It plays a factor. Obviously, we're Vanderbilt. We don't even count. That's going to be a win, 94% chance. Let me hit a couple of more on the way out the door here. Dakota gifted a membership. Appreciate that, brother. Also, Zachary for 5 says Joe throws for 200 with 3 touchdowns, and the D gets two pick sixes and a scoop and score.
Dang. Sign me up.
The defense going to match the offensive output versus Texas A&M. Like the entire game is going to get. I love it. I love it. D gets a punt return.
Yeah.
And a field goal, 52-3. Zachary,
why even play offense, Boogie?
Did you
why even just kneel every time?
Just take a knee and punt it.
Yeah,
take a knee and punt it. Did Zachary go to bed last night, or has he been drinking since last night? What are you doing,
he's had
Zachary?
a couple of Red Bulls, so maybe a little vodka in there, here and there. But I'm here for it, Zachary. I hope you're right, man. I'll be here all day for being proven wrong. I know Boogie's talked about it, but prove me wrong. Like I hope Joe loads up a handful of baby powder and slaps me right across the face on Saturday. I certainly do.
My question is, though, everybody wants D. Williams to play offense, but is D. Williams going to kick field goals? D gets a punt return and 1 field goal. So he's going to house a punt and kick the field goal. Zachary's the
Why
man.
Not?
Hey, I'm here for it, Zachary. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Very generous. We appreciate it. You guys have been very generous all day long, man. You guys ran the show today. You guys were the host. You guys asked the questions, and we fed off of it, and this was a great show for it. I made Ben McKee work overtime. Now I'm making Coach Jay work overtime. But we're going to get out the door here. Don't forget, go back, rewatch that interview with J.D. Piquel yesterday. I'm not going to put up a video later today. I'm going to probably reshare that on the timeline. Try to get some more eyes on that. That was a fun conversation. Tomorrow, we will be live an hour before kickoff, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, doing the fan call-in tailgate show. That's where all you members get a chance to come on. So if you're not a member, fix that. Hit that join button down below. Always a good time. A guy, he's a buddy of mine. He actually we have a Talkin VAWLS banner for like meet and greets and stuff, and he made it for me. And he messaged me on Facebook the other day, and he's like, dude, a friend of mine came up to me and was talking about Tennessee football, and they mentioned if I'd ever heard of Talkin VAWLS, and I was like, yeah, Boogie's a buddy of mine. And they were like, whoa, wait, hold, you know Boogie? You know that? Like, he's like, dude, they acted like you were a celebrity. I was like, oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. But he said that it's her and her husband, their favorite show are the fan call-in shows. They said it makes me feel like I'm hanging out with my buddies and everybody's just talking Tennessee. And it's like, that's the whole point. So come be a part of that. Come be a part of those fan call-in shows. And then don't forget, we'll be live immediately following the game. It'll be myself, Dauber, Coach Jay, and Coach Rice will be on hand to break down the game immediately after. But that's going to do it for this one, man. That's a big old fat bow on Buck Family Week. It's almost game day. But we're out the door for Coach Jay. My name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and